Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. Gonna wait a couple more minutes, maybe 1 minute for everyone to join, and we'll get started. We're at 70 people. Let's try to get it up a little bit higher. Okay, we have a really fun agenda planned today, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get started, and I'm sure more people will join. Anyways, again, happy Friday. We're so excited to have everyone joining us today for our Garden Behind the Scenes live event. I'm Rachel. I'm gonna be your host today. If you're curious, I'm the face behind all of the garden social media accounts. Today we're gonna chat about the new Gardyn Home 4.0. We're gonna get a behind the scenes tour of our research facility, which is really exciting. We'll also talk about some really cool plants. Be on the lookout for some trivia questions popping up on the side along the way for a chance to win some exciting prizes. And with that being said, I'm going to pass it off to FX, our amazing founder and CEO, to kick things off. FX, if you want to come off mute and take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. Hi, everybody. I'm FX. I'm the founder and CEO of Gardyn. Super happy to have you here. You can see a part of the team around. We're super excited to have this event with you. Last time, that was quite a long time ago, and we were thinking we should really do one again. I have one again, in particular with the release of Gardyn Home 4.0. So at the end of the day, this is your event, so feel free to ask us a lot of questions. We're here to address everything you may have in mind, also introduce what we're doing and why, and also very happy to get all your feedback and inputs of things that we should focus on and learn and do. At the end of the day, we're here for you. We're here to try to make sure that you can have something amazing at your place in terms of eating healthy, gardening, and having something super beautiful and super natural at home. So very happy to do that. We have a ton of things to talk about, as Rachel mentioned. Obviously, Gardyn Home 4.0 that we just released, and it's an amazing product. And John is going to talk about how we actually developed this, what kind of feedback we got from you to make it even better than the previous generation. But then there are many other things as well. Obviously, in terms of accessories, this dolly we released last year that is super cool. Some new accessories coming up, and then obviously, last but not least, are all the plants. So Lindsay is going to take you through a lot of the plants. Some of them were released recently, but also a ton of them coming up. So that's super exciting. With no further ado, John, do you want to take us through Gen 4? And I'm really curious to hear more about the behind the scenes of how we developed this and why it matters.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm really thrilled to talk to you about the next generation of Gardyn. So Gen 4, we really took a step back and we wanted to see what are some of the concerns that people have. How can we make a Gardyn home even better than it was before, right? So we really looked hard at everything. We went kind of from bottom up, top to bottom, however you want to put it, and looked component by component. How can we make Gardyn even better? And when we did this, a couple of things came out. One was cleaning. We heard some concerns a little bit about cleaning. We heard a little bit about energy consumption. We heard a little bit about, how can we make it even more beautiful? So we took these things, these ideas, and we have, as part of our R&D process, we looked at each of these things and we said, how can we make this better? So we took Gardyn Gen 3, our Generation 3, and we said, let's see what happens if we put a seal in between each of our modules. In my hand is a top module. It's clear. Yours will not look like this. But this is a clear module. It's part of our R&D process to really look at how does water behave inside of our columns. And so when we do that with generation 3 and we look at generation 4, we decided to add a seal in between each module. The seal looks a little bit like this. This is an example of a white seal. It's actually a prototype. The reason that I have in my hands two things that you won't see on your garden, a clear module and a white seal, is because in R&D, it's really important that we have a way to look inside things and to really study the way things behave. And so we have a white seal so that we can see any buildup that happens on the in between each module. And so what we do is we sometimes when you're growing plants, you may see in between each module just a very small amount of buildup. It's part of the normal growing process. And what happens is just very small amounts of salts from your plant food can sometimes escape. It's what happens when you get things wet and then they evaporate. And so we said, let's make cleaning a thing of the past, really, with Gen 4. So we added these seals, and we studied many different styles, many different designs, many different colors, even many different hardnesses. And we optimized this design so that your cleaning that you've seen in your previous generations is really a thing of the past. So this is one thing that we've done. Sam and FX, who are at the Hive right now, they can tell you about the many different iterations of this seal that's been optimized. We even looked at some very like common seals that you may see just in other appliances and other consumer products to learn from what they do and to really cater it to the Gardyn Home. So that's really one of the biggest enhancements we made in Gen 4. Another big enhancement we made is on the LEDs themselves. So on Gen 3, if you have one, any generation of garden, you know that you can grow plants with ease. It's super easy to grow. You turn the thing on, it's truly plug and play. And one thing that we've done in generation 4 is we have looked at the latest LED chips that are available on the market. And we said, how can we optimize what we have, provide the plants with exactly what they need to grow, but do it even more efficiently than we ever have? So what we did was we looked at various LED chips. We looked at various designs. We looked at all these things to optimize for Gardyn Home. And now we have an LED bar that is 20% more efficient, while still providing the exact amount of photovoltaically active radiation. That's a technical jargon for exactly what the plants need so that they can grow. And so what we did was rather than just take something off the shelf, which is something we could do, we looked at a wide variety of LED chips, and we looked at designs. We went in and out of everything that we could to try and enhance this. And we now have something that's super efficient, and that even a very efficient previous generation is even more efficient than it ever has been. So something we're really proud of. I'm gonna take my background off because I have a Gen 4 behind me, and I want to just show you a little bit about what I'm talking about. So in between each of these modules, we call these openings modules. In between each of these modules is that seal I was telling you about. There's even a seal on the very bottom. If you can see here, there's a seal here as well. And again, this is so that you really won't have any buildup of any kind of algae or any kind of salts, any kind of plant food on the outside of these modules. The LEDs, as you'll see, are just as bright and the plants are just as happy, even though they use 20% less electricity. And the other feature I just want to show you, because I think it's much more effective to show you, is the LEDs will now, instead of turning on and off in an instant, there's a feature on Gen 4 that's called sunrise sunset. That's what we call it internally anyway. And what it means is that there's a softer transition between off and on when you turn on and off your lights. And so what this means is that as the lights turn on, if you have them on a schedule that you like, it really creates a kind of a nice ambiance that really enhances what is already a very beautiful product. So this is another piece of the Gen 4 that is really a major enhancement. So with that, I know that FX he's in the Hive right now, and he has at his disposal a lot of materials and a lot of things that we generally use to to study all these things that I've just described. So I'm going to hand it back to FX and let him show you a little bit behind the scenes in our laboratory. FX?
Yeah, thank you, John. A lot of people are asking us, where you base and where you do the research and so on. So that's kind of the way we're organized. We're a remote first company, so we have a lot of people in different places. I see John. So John is in Maryland, where the Hive is, but David is in LA, or Lindsay in Buffalo, Rachel in LA as well. So many different places. We have a few locations where we are still physically present because we need to do a lot of R&D, obviously, in terms of device and plants. So here where I'm standing right now is what's called the Beehive. It's in Bethesda, Maryland. And that's where we're doing a lot of R&D on plants. So you see some plants behind me. I'm gonna stand up and try to turn the camera of my iPhone the other way around. If I succeed, yes. So here you see some of the big devices, big gardens we have here. A lot of these plants are actually R&D, so don't tell anyone, but that's a lot of things we're working on right now that are going to be released. Obviously, leafy greens, but also a ton of flowers, beautiful flowers that we're super excited about. I don't know if you see this one. Lindsay, I won't mention any name because you told me this is totally confidential, so I should not show you all this. We have also some places to do a lot of analysis of electronics and different devices. This is super cool. That's where I was taking the live event. And then some of our colleagues, hey, this is Victoria and Sam, that are just watching the event as well. So that's one part of our Hive thing. And then there is another part on the other side that is super cool. That's the part I love the most. So we have obviously a ton of gardens. Look at these ones stamping. I should not tell you that. You should not say, don't close your eyes. Don't look at this big guy here, that we're growing. And then that's the part I love the most is this wall. That's where we're doing a lot of testing and just having this wall of plants, and they're always changing, testing so many things. This is pretty cool. You see a ton of flowers with testing. A lot of them are not released yet. They're gonna come very soon. These snapdragons here, some big broccoli, big cauliflower that is coming up here. Some of them are just beautiful. That's the same thing, I won't say anything. You didn't see anything, but just gorgeous ones. And then same thing, not saying anything, but there are kind of weird stuff that we're working on right now. I won't say anything yet, but you may guess what this could be. That starts with a B, ends with an S, something like berries of different types. Super cool. These yellow tomatoes, these ones we already released, they're also super tasty. A lot of peppers, these ones. It's hard to show, with that's nice as well. So yeah, that's where we're doing a lot of R&D in our office in Bethesda, Maryland. A lot of fun playing with a ton of different plants and trying different things so that at the end of the day we can offer and we can bring you the best that we can find. And sometimes we say, hey, plants are super easy, but that's not the case. Plants is really hard. You need to find plants that are just amazing, that are growing great in a hydroponic system, but also that are exactly the right size, the right format that is going to fit perfectly on your garden. So one thing, what is this? What is this plant? This is, I know, Lindsay, I won't say anything because I know you want to present it, but look at this this plant that is coming here. There's going to be a big flower that is coming in. It's a very tall plant. I think my arm is not long enough to show you the plant, how big it is that's going on in your garden. And this is just a baby one. Actually, it's going to grow even bigger in the coming weeks, and you're going to end up with a beautiful flower. So here it is. That's our hive. We call it the hive, like for all the bees around the flowers. And I'm going to give it back to Lindsay to talk about flowers.
Thanks so much
And
for the
all the
handoff,
plants coming
FX. Awesome. Thanks. My name is Lindsay Springer. I'm the head of plants and nutrition at Gardyn. I work with a team of 4 other people who help us do a lot of the research and development that goes into bringing you the best of the plant world in our garden plant portfolio. FX did a great teaser for me, so I'm really excited to share with you not only some of the things that went into bringing the plants that you see in our portfolio today, but also the exciting things that we've got coming tomorrow. Just to kind of lead into what John was saying about the 4.0 and how excited we are to bring that to you. The plant health and nutrition team, our hardware team, we all work together to develop these products together. And that said, I saw our polls come in saying that cleaning was one of the biggest things that you were excited about not having to do. If you check our resources, the plant health and nutrition team came up with a new cleaning protocol that does not involve any disassembly whatsoever. It's based on citric acid. You do cleaning cycles, and it's super, super easy. And the best way not to clean your garden is essentially use Hydro Boost on a regular basis. It'll definitely eliminate all those different buildups that people complain about. And obviously, FX is being a wonderful Vanna White for me again. But this is a great way to keep your garden clean and healthy. Going back to the plants, 2024 is a really exciting year for us. You know, we kicked off January with this theme of back to health. And for those of you who don't know, I'm actually a food scientist who really likes plants. So whenever I think about, what are we launching? What are we doing? I'm always thinking about what can we do with it? I've rediscovered how to cook with things like collard greens and watercress. For those of you who haven't tried Brazilian collard greens, they're super fast, super easy, super nutritious, and so good. Way better or way different than the Southern cuisine of cooking collard greens. So I'm really excited to bring to you some new plants that we can rediscover different ways to use. Other really great plants that I was talking about that I was excited about was watercress. I'm not sure if you saw the latest CDC announcement is that watercress is the most nutrient dense plant out there right now. Beats out kale, beats out a lot of the other really nutritious greens that people talk about. And we're really proud and excited to have you be able to grow your own watercress. And it thrives on garden. For those of you who have tried it, once it builds out into a big, beautiful plant, you can really, really harvest and reharvest again. The plant really lasts a very long time. It's a really cool plant to work with. Other things that I was really excited about for this, this month past month, March was National Nutrition Month. The herbs, fresh herbs in your kitchen are just the best thing as someone who really loves food. Lemongrass, Chervil, all those really unique flavors that you can't find fresh at your grocery store, have fun with. I think cooking with fresh herbs is just really great, and it's a great way to add flavor without adding things like added salt, sugar, and other ways that people tend to amp up flavors in dishes. So fresh herbs has been a big focus of where we wanted to go with National Nutrition Month in March. Into the exciting things that FX was talking about, that really big, beautiful plant that I just happen to have a smaller one here. This you're gonna find in our portfolio next week. And this, whoops, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go into, there we go. And this guy, yeah, there we go. Now we've got it. Is gonna have a whole new vibe to your garden. Similar to some of the fun things that we experimented in the theme of hibiscus and tropical and adding a whole new vibe to your garden. This right here, does anyone want to guess what it might turn out to be? Any plant enthusiasts who are looking at this saying, I know what it is? FX has the flower buds going on. Anybody? We have a winner. Beth, you are on it. This is a canaflower. Very, very good. This is a bronze-leaved canaflower, and you can get them with different colored leaves, but we thought the big bronze bold leaves were super cool. So very nice, Beth. Very impressed. That was a very fast identification of our canaflower. So look for that coming into our portfolio next week. Like I said, we're really excited to offer it to you. It is a very large plant, but the nice thing is that it's so lengthy and it's very, it's kind of sparse with its foliage. It does let you put other things around it. So it does actually fit nicely within that tower structure that you've got going on. So congrats, Beth. Do we have a prize for Beth? The high five. Awesome. Other great things we have coming into our portfolio very, very soon. We're really thinking about, Mother's Day and all the beautiful things around FX's head right now really encompass the feeling that we get when we talk about Mother's Day. So if you look behind you, you can see those gorgeous lacy white petunias. They're really soft and ruffly. You can see those fuchsia snapdragons back there. They're similar to our red snapdragon, so they fit beautifully and nice and compact on the garden, but then they also have that beautiful, like almost two-tone fuchsia coloration going on. That's really beautiful. Other flowers that are coming in are the iconic flower that you may have noticed on our Generation 4 in some of our visuals and our pictures and our ads and things like that. And that is our purple campanula. They're gorgeous bell-shaped flowers that look like teacups. Do we have any campanulas hanging out there, FX? And if we don't, that's okay. Aha, there's Mel, one of our teammates in Plant Health and Nutrition. There's our campanula. Our campanulas are wonderful. The blooms last for a very long time. So once that campanula starts to bloom, you'll actually see those flowers last for quite some time, and they're very beautiful. And like we said, they're kind of an iconic flower when you look at some of the way that our team has styled them into our device. So that brings us up to a really beautiful Mother's Day, but FX also alluded to one of the first of its kind in the garden portfolio, and that was the summer squash that he showed you. So we're excited about grilling on the grill, and we want to get grilling and outdoors and work with summer. So we thought we'd focus on a summer squash for you guys. And so this is going to be coming out into our portfolio for June, along with another favorite for the grill and or roasting, poblano peppers. Poblano peppers are one of my favorite peppers. They're super versatile. You can stuff them, you can grill them, you can slice them. Oh, there's our squash. And so that's another thing that we're really excited about. Now, I'm not going to tell you the whole spectrum of what's coming, but these are just a few exciting nuggets that we've got to share with you guys. Once we hit, the midsummer, I'm not sure where everyone else lives. We work, as FX said, all over the country in a remote first environment. But in the heart of summer, in my outdoors, the lettuce bolts all the time. So I'm always looking to my garden to provide me some some lettuce once the summer months get super, super hot. So that's why we were thinking about having a really great, what we're calling a salad-bration release in the middle of the summer. You'll see a lot of new greens, a lot of new summer favorites to include in your summer salads. And that's something that we're really excited to bring you as well.
Thanks so much, Lindsay. Before we get into questions, we're doing pretty well on time. So FX, I wanted to pass it back to you. Do you and Sam potentially want to take a couple minutes to show off some of the accessories? I'll let you walk back to your seat and unmute yourself. One question for
Yeah,
you is, oh, never mind. Go ahead, FX.
go ahead. No, go ahead with Lindsay.
I was
I'm
just
back
gonna
to the
say
accessory.
to answer a question directly, just piggybacking off of your presentation, Lindsay. Someone asked if all the flowers in our portfolio are edible. I felt that like that was an easy one to address.
Not all of the flowers are edible, just some of them. If you look at the plant book, it'll let you know flowers like nasturtiums are edible, and obviously our violas and a few more that you can find in there, but some of them are not. So just make sure you check your plant book and make sure that you're noting which ones are and aren't. I will say that I have seen a lot of wonderful hibiscus flowers in our community just starting to bloom. And I wanted to remind you that if you save those petals, they make a wonderful hibiscus tea. So, so good.
Yeah, I can say a few things about the accessories. So we're always trying to develop new accessories and bring things that you love and trying to complement the garden universe. One thing personally I really love is this dolly that we developed, and you saw Sam a few minutes ago. He's the one who developed this dolly, and really trying to make it super simple to move the garden. Sometimes for some people, a garden is something pretty heavy. So we're thinking that would be really great to be able to move it easily, in particular if you want to refresh the tank, but also to make sure that it's not touching your, the ground, and in particular if you have wooden floor, just because of the humidity. So that's really great in a way to protect your floor, have an easy garden to move in. It's pretty nice. So this one we're super proud of. We were mentioning also this module cap that we released last year. That was just playing with the colors. We already had a cap that you can use to close the slots on your garden. So nothing really new here. But we developed this just because we loved it. We loved it to have these pops of colors. Also because this thing actually is way more opaque than what we had before. So it's a much better way to actually protect the slots and make sure that there is no light coming in, and that means also no biofilm developing inside. And then last but not least, John, you see here was part of developing this product. They did a great job of having actually two textures. So one part is plastic, but the other part is kind of a silicone material that is really soft that you can touch here. It's really nice. And yeah, sorry, it's a detail, but personally I love it because it's really nice to touch and pretty nice color. So we have green, we have red, and we have white. Some time ago, we released these vase that you all know. The goal is to really be able to take your flowers, whatever they are, whatever plants, and you take it, you put it in your vase, and here you are. You have this is a growing kohlrabi in a little vase that you can have on your desk, on a windowsill. If you have kids, they love it. You can give them little plants that they can start growing, and then obviously after a few days, you want to put them back in the garden. You can actually add water at the bottom here so that you can keep the plant several days in the vase, and then you just put it back. And same thing, can I do that with the petunias? That would be great. Lindsay won't be happy, but sorry, Lindsay. Oh, look at this. I have my petunias now in the vase. Up, and here it is. Cool. So that's a nice gift for Mother's Day. We have it in green. We have it in red and in white. So that's on the accessory side. The trellis, that's also something we released last year. It has been very popular. People were really asking, how do I grow vining plants and tall plants on garden? In my mind, that's one of the cool things with garden is that we can grow tall plants and in particular vining plants. And that's something you really want to enjoy and go. And there are way more coming, actually. We have a ton of vining plants coming up. The trellis is a great way to do that. And we spend a lot of time to try to figure out something that would be great for the plant that would actually anchor on the column. So I take these two columns, basically you're gonna have your trellis anchoring on the columns, and it's actually we spend a lot of time to find a way that it should be really robust. And even though the plants may be really heavy, with typically with zucchinis or cucumbers, that's super solid and that can really hold the plants very nicely. And last but not least, we spend quite a lot of time trying to do something that is nice and fun and lots full of curves and kind of the way we want our garden to be, something fun and nice to look at. So that's on the accessory side. We have way more to come, so I'm not allowed to tell you anything about this. It's informed in no way. I actually don't mention the ongoing accessories, so there is more to come. Stay tuned. On the things that are not accessories but are really cool, Lindsay mentioned Hydro Boost. I really want to insist on this one. Lindsay and the team have spent a huge amount of time developing this product. It's totally natural. It's based out of citrus extract. And what it does, it really takes care of the environment of your garden, of the water, of the pH, of it's cleaning the roots. It makes your plants way healthier. And you just add a teaspoon of this, each time you're adding water. Super easy. It smells super good. It smells lemon actually, so it's pretty nice. And that's something that's going to keep your garden super clean. You really want to have this. That's really, in my mind, that's a must-have. And then the nursery, that's this one. There are a few developments you're working on the nursery. I cannot tell you, but there is more to come on this one. And that's basically it. One thing I wanted to show you, John mentioned Gen 4 and the new LEDs. That's something I have handy, so I'd like to show you this because I think it's really fun in terms of understanding how these things work. So that's a light bar of a garden, and you can see, for example, the camera. That's the cameras through which Kelby is actually looking at your plants 24/7, and you can also look at your plants remotely if you want. But that's how our AI actually is taking pictures of your plants and either identifying what's going on your garden, how fast, comparing picture after picture, and then being able to optimize the growth of the plants and letting you know if there is anything you need to do or know about your plants. You can see the LEDs, and you see on this bar is the bar of Gen 3. You see a ton of different LEDs. On one bar of Gen 3 LEDs, there are 119 LEDs on each bar. So a lot of LEDs, and that provides the quantity of light that the plants need. And this is the Gen 4, the Gen 4 LED. Gen 4 LED, you can see it's totally different. Now we're moving to the latest generation of LEDs, and actually there are just 32 of them. That's it, not 119, just 32, and consuming 20%. Actually, it's even less. It's between 20 and 30% less power that it's consuming, and it's providing exactly the same power that the plants need. So that's really amazing, and that's what we want to keep doing. Leveraging the latest technologies to really make your garden as efficient as possible and your plants as thriving as possible. That said, any other things? I'm sure I forgot things. I'm sure there are also a ton of questions. Rachel, back to you.
That was great. John. Thanks so much, FX. We asked for questions prior to the event. So I'm going to go ahead and assign some of those questions to Lindsay, FX, and John. And also we are getting some questions coming in hot live, so please keep those coming. We're going to try to be as transparent as possible and address as many as we can. So let's go ahead and get into it. First question, FX, this one is for you. This is a question I get all the time on social media. Will we be expanding our shipping services overseas in the future?
That's a great question. I would love to. As you can hear from my accent, I'm not totally local. I'm trying to get local as much as possible. I would love to be overseas. I would love to be in so many places. We're a small company, so we're really trying to do things step by step. We started, continental US. We extended to Alaska, Hawaii, Puerto Rico recently. We're really trying to expand progressively. We're just doing things step by step to be able to do it the right way. And in particular, one thing that is really important thinking about shipping overseas is seeds. You may know that most of the seeds or some seeds actually don't cross the borders because of regulation. And that means each time we want to ship something, elsewhere, the question of the seed and the sourcing of the seed is a key element. Think about Canada only. I mean, you would say that's obvious. We should ship to Canada. We're not shipping to Canada right now, simply because actually some of these seeds cannot cross the border. And we really want, in our mind, the seeds are so important. As you understood, the team is spending a huge amount of time to select the right seeds in terms of the nutritional profile, the way it's going to grow on your garden, the way, the shape of it, so that it's going to be not too big and really fit on your garden. A lot of R&D and focus on this. The day we go abroad, overseas, that means we need to source new seeds. And that's something we're absolutely open to doing, but that's a lot of work to really find the best one. So we're just trying to do it step by step.
Thanks so much.
But we go overseas.
Okay, Lindsay, this question is for you. How can we keep pests and algae away?
Great question. I'm going to answer algae first because it's a two-part question. So algae is a photosynthetic organism, and what algae needs to survive is light, and it loves to eat your plant food. So anywhere there's an interface where light and plant food meet, that's a surface where algae can thrive. So the first thing that you can do to eliminate algae is to eliminate that interface. One of the things I see a lot is that if you have rock wool and it have a little seedling on there, a lot of times you'll see as light is exposed to your rock wool surface, you'll get a buildup of algae because you have the light, you have the plant food, build up algae. These lovely little covers, Y covers that are silicone, can go right on top of here and let your seedling get the light. It blocks the light around the rock wool. It limits the algae. Now, you don't need to keep this Y cover on for forever. Once the canopy of that plant is big enough and it shades out the base, you can pull this off and use it for your next young seedling. So that's one way to prevent algae propagation on your rock wool. If you do see some algae propagation, you don't have one of these Y cube covers, you can use some hydrogen peroxide and spritz it on there. It won't hurt the plant. Just make sure you spray around the base and not the total up top thing. So that'll knock off the algae. The other thing you can make sure you do is use these caps to cover your empty slots. You don't want light to start penetrating into the columns, again, getting access to the plant food and propagating the algae. The other thing that can lead to algae overgrowth is when your nutrient balance is off and your pH is off. So we don't want you to have to worry about that, which is why we have the system using Hydro Boost and our garden plant food together to keep that system balanced and to make sure that your pH stays in a range that doesn't encourage algae propagation. Again, if you do see some algae on a Y cube, you can spritz it with some hydrogen peroxide. Use these little Y covers when your seedlings are young. Remove them and then use them on other young plants when your plant canopy is big enough that it can shade out the base of the plant. When it comes to pests, the best thing you can do is to take practices to ensure your plants are healthy. This means adding plant food when your sprouts are ready. Make sure they're nutritionally strong, right? And that includes doing things like thinning out your seedlings. So what happens is when you have a whole bunch of really young plants all stuck in the same area and they start getting bigger and bigger and bigger, if you don't thin, all of those plants are competing for the same bucket of nutrients, right? So we want to make sure that you stick to the plant book recommendations for how many plants should be in each cube. And that way your plants don't get stressed out because they're all fighting for the same thing. Stressed out plants are more susceptible to pests. So make sure to top off your tank regularly with plant food, make sure everything's refreshed, and keep a healthy garden by harvesting regularly too. Airflow is a big thing. If you let your garden grow into a big jungle and you never eat it, you have a lot less airflow going on. Plants need airflow to stay healthy as well. So keep all of those things in mind. And our team is going to be sending out a reminder because it is that season when you're going to start opening up the windows and walking around outside and things like that. So you can remember what to do to look for pests and things like that. But keep your plants healthy. That's the biggest thing you can do to prevent pests.
Super helpful. I learned so much from these every time. FX, another question for you. We've gotten this a handful of times and I see it coming in live in the chat as well. Can you touch on some of the recent concerns about the new tapioca-based casings we are now using for Y cubes? People are seeing white powder, and we figured it'd be a great time to address this.
Yeah, that's a great question. And we're like you, we were a bit disappointed by what happened. So we've moved from, so we're talking about the Y cubes, the casing. Let me show you what I'm talking about for everyone to be clear. These are the Y cubes we're talking about, this casing here. And basically the previous ones were in corn. These new ones we've developed are in tapioca. The reason we moved from corn to tapioca is tapioca actually has a way better life cycle. and it consumes way less water when growing the plant. So for the environment, that's better. That's the reason we moved to this. What happened is that in one of the batches of tapioca we got, the manufacturer of this powder did not remove the humidity in the casing before actually making the casing. Usually they have to dry the powder before it's used for injection to make these little shapes, and they did not remove the humidity enough from the casing. As a result, the casings for this batch start decomposing, composting faster than expected, and that's why you see these little white things. So it's not dangerous. It's basically tapioca starch. It's not an issue for the plant. The casing will still be robust enough for the plant to hold. It's just not great. So we're sorry about that. If we want us to replace some of these white cubes, we're very happy to replace them. But again, that's nothing toxic. It's just that there is too much humidity inside the thing, and it starts composing faster than expected. That has been fixed. That has been identified. That has been fixed with the manufacturer. The new batches are now absolutely without this. They are perfect. And again, if you have any issue, if that really bothers you too much, we're very happy to replace them.
Thank you so much, FX. Yeah, long story short, we're trying to be more sustainable and take better care of the planet, but they're composting a little bit faster than we expected. Okay, moving right along. We have a question from Sky. John, this one is for you. So Sky said, I love the improvements in Gen 4. I've been a garden user since Gen 1 in 2020. There's been a lot of discussion on the Facebook group about the seal in the base between the water reservoir and the electrical components. The online community feels that instead of fixing the problem, you extended the warranty. Can you speak to the seal in the unit and what improvements are planned to reduce corrosion?
Yeah, this is a great question. I'm glad it came up. So I have here a lid, and I want you guys to, I took off my background so you could really see it well. Okay, so what you see here is it's where one of our columns would sit, right? And so the question is really about this seal that we added here. When the column sits on top of the lid, you're preventing any water and concretion, that's the buildup of any kind of nutrients, from escaping this area. And so there's a question about, hey, if we are we just kind of passing the buck? Are we saying, hey, this could cause an issue down the road? Are we going to flood the inside of the lid? Are we going to cause some kind of problem? So let me walk you through this a little bit and the idea behind the design. Okay, so you'll notice here you can actually see right where my finger is, you can see light behind me, okay? And the idea is that if for some reason there's some roots on this very last module, this last opening that clog this area, and the water's not able to escape, where does it go? So we have designed this weep hole right here to escape any water that could be plugged, okay? So that's the first thing. Okay, so if there is any kind of obstruction on the bottom here, there is a second way for it to get out. Okay, so then you might ask me, hey, well, that's interesting because what happens then if that gets filled up too? Okay, so what we've actually designed, it's invisible to you guys, but underneath of here, in case any water were to escape out and this gets blocked and this gets blocked, we have made a way for any water that gets on top of the lid to not be exposed to any of the electronics inside. So if you were to look at the underside, if you were to look underneath of this wood board, there are actually several different pathways for water to escape out of the lid that don't get anywhere near the electronics. So what this means is that underneath, it's like a little slide where the water will collect and then it can slide and get back into the tank. So in addition to the weep holes, these little holes that you see here, there's actually the same thing designed on this plastic part. So that if for any reason water gets on top of the wood board and it doesn't have a way to escape, it actually goes inside of the lid and back down into the tank. So I just wanted to reassure you that there are seals throughout, protecting all of the various sensors, protecting all of the electronics. And I just wanted to have you guys rest assured that we're not sealing this and creating other problems.
And John, to your point, and also to the question, the one thing also we need to admit is that took time to get there, and in full humidity, the first generations were not as robust as Gen 3 and Gen 4. So everything that John mentioned, these are things that we've introduced starting in Gen 3. So definitely, typically Gen 3 and now Gen 4 are way more robust than Gen 2 and obviously Gen 1. But that's really something that we really take into account very seriously. At the end of the day, we are taking all your feedback and trying to make each time the next generation more robust, more easy to clean, obviously more efficient, but also way more robust. And that's something that is really dear to our heart. There's been, to John's point, there's been a full redesign of the lid with Gen 3. If you took Gen 2 lids and Gen 3 lids and you open them and you look at them, the design is totally different. We totally re-engineered the lid of Gen 3, and Gen 3 take a big leap forward in terms of robustness, and Gen 4 is even one step further with all the seals that John described in the beginning.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. Lindsay, we got a plant question. Do we have baby arugula?
Absolutely. We have all the arugulas. So if you look in our microgreen portfolio, arugula was one of the very first varieties that we released as a microgreen because our microgreen system is transferable to the garden system and can give you baby leaf arugula. So the same arugula that you find in like the clamshells at the grocery store, only this stuff is going to be harvested fresh and be super zesty and peppery, like the arugula flavor that you love. That is exactly why I love that system. So if you look at the microgreen portfolio, you'll see that there's little silicone plates. Those plates fit in your nursery to germinate the microgreens. Once the microgreens have, reached about this high, it only takes like a week, you can take that plate and actually transfer the plate to the garden with plant food. And that'll let your microgreens kind of leaf out into your baby green phase. And one microgreen pad should give you like a handful of baby leaf arugula. So they really poof out. They're like little leafy poofs on the garden. They're really cute.
Awesome. Thank you. I have a couple more questions coming in for you, Lindsay. To take it back to basics, someone asked, how do you know when it's time to replace a plant?
Oh, sure. So it depends on the plant. Some people like to, let things go to they're bolted. Some people like to do succession planting and just have like a fresher, younger, more productive plant on their garden at all times. When I think about something like lettuce, right? If you continually harvest those outer leaves and let the inner part of the lettuce continue to grow, you'll be getting a lot of production out of that plant, and you'll be harvesting that plant for a really long time. Now, when the plant is naturally going to the end of its life cycle, it will show signs of bolting where you'll see a stem kind of come up and you'll see some flowers kick off. Those are edible too, by the way. I'm not sure if you've ever eaten like a green mustard flower. They're absolutely delicious. But at the end of the day, that kind of signals to you that that plant is towards the end of its life cycle. When it comes to something like peppers, right? Those guys can last a while. And sometimes you have to prune them back. You can kind of assess how it's doing in the garden itself. I actually like to take some of my pepper plants that I grow indoors during the winter and plop them outdoors in the summer to keep going as I do my succession planting and keep going that way. So it really depends on the plant, how you handle the plant, and how productive that plant is being for you.
Thank you. Okay, one more, at least for now, Lindsay, for you. Word. 1 second. So many good ones have come in. Okay, this is from Carol. Carol said, I've experienced slow growth and poor germination for some plants, such as cilantro. I've tried to find out advice on the website without luck. Any suggestions? P.S. I live in Alaska and it's still snowing.
Oh my gosh. So I'm in Buffalo, New York, and we had snow just a few days ago. So I feel you, Alaska. We're still feeling the winter vibes here in Buffalo once in a while as well. As far as germination and cilantro and other things that contribute to germination, one thing I want to just make sure everyone's aware of is that we did update how we do germination in the nursery. So if you're still kind of using the normal nursery protocol where you fill with water at the bottom, rely on the wicking nature of the rock wool to bring the water up, it's not as effective as if you do a soak of the rock wool, pull the rock wool out of the liquid using the nursery, and then set it there to germinate. That does actually improve germination efficiency overall. So just make sure you're following the general germination protocols there. The other thing I'll say is humidity and temperature are a thing. So when your temperatures are, in the lower 60s versus being in the mid 70s, it does make a big difference for how fast things germinate. We do encourage you to wait a solid full 28 days. Just sometimes things can take a little bit longer, especially things like herbs and fruiting plants sometimes take a little bit longer than your lettuces and things like that.
Thank you. FX, now that you're done with your snack, I have another question for you. This is going back to the Y cube problem we were talking about a few minutes ago. Melissa asked, how can we tell if any of the Y cubes we have that we have not used yet are ones with the issue?
That's a great question. This is super hard to tell. It's really one batch, and it's really hard to know whether your Y cubes are from this batch. Again, what I would say is, I know it's not great, but there is really nothing that would impact the plants in any ways. Personally, I have some at home that are doing this, and I keep using them, and the plants are growing absolutely fine. I just remove a bit the white flakes. Again, if you have any doubts, we're very happy to send you new ones. That's absolutely no problem. I got this question also several times of, hey, the white cubes are more or less robust and so on. That should not be the case. I mean, obviously, these are compostable things, so they are not meant to last for several years. But the way these casings are designed, they should absolutely be strong enough to hold your plants and keep them, as long as the plants are there. And again, if you have anything that is an issue, that there is white flakes or whatever, I'm very happy to replace them.
Thank you.
And the dirty stock is back in stock. Yes, I see the question popping up.
Lindsay, back to you. Is it best to not have all the spaces filled? They seem to grow on top of each other and block the light from other plants, since we can't really move them to better places for space because of the intensity of needs for each plant.
Again, depends on what you're choosing to grow. If you want to grow 30 canaflowers, that might not be the best idea, as you saw the size of those plants, right? So you're going to have to assess as your plants mature, how the light is coming in for each and every plant, right? So you're going to see if something's blocking another one. And again, it really depends on that plant structure and how it fits on the garden itself. Make sure you look at the guide for the lighting zones as well, right? So, your fruiting and flowering plants tend to need more intense lights. Put those in the middle. I saw a question about cilantro come in. I just want to highlight that cilantro typically likes it a little shadier. So stick that guy up on the outer edges or at the top. And that'll help preserve some of that flavor in the long run as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Melanie, I see. Looks like you asked when the rolling base will be available. Our dolly is available. I'm going to drop the link in the chat for you right now. Okay. Have a humidity question, Lindsay. On the humidity, I live in Arizona and also travel a lot. What is the temperature I should have my house at?
Yeah. So when you want to see really, great plant growth, I like to see something above 65, which is typically what people tend to live in comfortably. So when you're home and you're comfortable, typically your plants are comfortable too. I think there's sometimes an issue when people put things in their garage or their basements, and that's where we see the flux in humidities and temperatures really start messing with some of the plant growth as well. I know humidity in Buffalo can be somewhat of a challenge in the winter time. I know during the winter months of some other places, it does get very dry. I do use a humidifier in my home, but it's for my own comfort, and because I'm using it for me, my plants like it too. So that's kind of my philosophy, is if it's comfortable for you, it's probably comfortable for your plants as well.
Awesome. One question that I see come through regularly is, why are our bare root strawberries seasonal? Lindsay, I don't know if you want to do this, or FX. I'll let you guys decide.
So we source from an organic farm, and since growing seasons are seasonal, that's essentially why our berries are seasonal. So we're really excited to work with this farm. Like I said, they have great sustainability practices. They're one of the very few organic nurseries for berries in the United States, and so that's where we're really happy to be partnered with them for that. And they're in one specific part of the country, and that season is the season that we have to work with. I agree. The strawberries are so much tastier than store-bought. I have a 1-year-old who can literally distinguish between garden strawberries and grocery store strawberries. He will literally spit out grocery store strawberries and pick garden strawberries and eat them like crazy. I think I saw a question come in about CalMag. So I know a lot of people mention CalMag on the Facebook groups, and they have questions about plant health and things like that. CalMag is typically used when you're not using things like tap water. So garden is something that you're supposed to be able to take water right out of your tap, use it in your garden, and not have to worry about it. Our plant food is made to, work with that system. Hydro Boost is made to work with that system and everything. If you do decide to use something like bottled water, RO water, distilled water, that sort of thing that doesn't have a natural concentration of calcium and magnesium, that's where people typically find it helpful to use CalMag as a supplement.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I know we're at time, and I think that we've answered all of the questions. FX, John, or Lindsay, do you have anything else to say?
No, I just want to thank you guys. Again, we're at your disposal. We're here to try to explain and answer your questions. I'm sure you have many others, so feel free to ping us. We have also an amazing team, support team, that I'm sure you can always mail them at support@mygarden.com, and they're just incredible, and they know everything about plants and hardware and everything. So if you have any question, any help you need, feel free to reach out to them. They are super great. Obviously, you also know that in the app there are a ton of resources that you can look at. Obviously, going to the various Facebook groups or our gardener group in the app. Feel free. We're here to help. There is no bad question, and the only thing that matters at the end of the day is that you can be super successful growing amazing plants and having a lot of fun doing so.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, FX. Again, thank you all so much. It seems like this went really well, so maybe we'll do this again in the future, but you know where to reach us if you want to contact us. And happy growing, everyone.
Grow healthy, live tasty.
Have a good weekend. Bye.